Well, I used to think awkwardness is something that I have to avoid at all costs. Feeling your cheeks burned and your brain just freezes and you just wish that the ground would open and swallow you whole. Well, that was basically me. So for years I've been trying to dodge it, keep everything safe, polished, and predictable. But here's the thing. Awkward moments kept finding me anyway. And somewhere along the line, I realized that awkwardness isn't just a flaw. It's actually one of the best tools for growth, confidence, and connection. So here's the first thing I learned. Awkwardness makes lessons unforgettable. So in 2021, I came to Canada as an international student. And back then, money was tight. So 2 weeks in, I was already job hunting. And my first job was at Dairy Queen when I spent the whole day scooping ice cream. I thought my English was fine and I could joke with friends, I could order food or watch Netflix without subtitles. Easy. But work is like a completely different game. I remember this one afternoon, there was a customer come in and say something completely off the menu, which I didn't catch at all. So I asked her to repeat, but I still didn't get it. So by the third time, I was already sweating. Then I looked back, looking at my coworker, but he was too busy dealing with some online orders. So it was just me, the customer, and my brain, which completely checked out. So finally, she points at the menu. Okay, that's what she meant. And then she asked for something about toppings, and then I froze again. Well, thankfully she was patient enough, but inside I was like, damn, I don't want this to happen again. And my English was nowhere near ready for this. And the funny thing is, that moment stuck with me way more than when people say something like, wow, your English is so good, because the awkwardness sticks. It's like the voice in the back of your head saying, hey, you gotta work on this. And that night, I told myself that I'm not gonna let that happen again. I didn't suddenly become fluent overnight, but I started paying way more attention. Like every order, every question, I treat like practice. And a few weeks later, the same situation that used to make me panic just didn't anymore. And it all started with one painfully awkward shift. Or maybe a few more shifts like that, but over time, I got better. Awkwardness doesn't let you forget, it forces you to adjust. And it burns the lesson so deep into your brain that you can't ignore it. The second thing that I learned, awkwardness is the bridge between I wish and I did. So fast forward, my English was better, but my dating life in Canada, not so much. I've never liked dating apps. I love meeting people in real life. But the problem is, you have to risk awkwardness. So I remember this lazy afternoon in a bubble tea shop, and I was already stuffed from too much bubble tea when I spotted her. She was sitting alone, reading a book. And guess what? She's exactly my type. And also, I just happen to have this personal goal lately that I wanted to talk to more strangers. So double win, right? Meet her and get braver. But guess what? My brain, it instantly just went into that excuse mode. Like, bro, relax. She doesn't want to talk to people right now. She's reading a book and she probably doesn't want to be bothered. Just finish your drink and go home. And I was already halfway to the door when I realized that, wait, if I keep dodging moments like this, nothing will ever change. And yeah, it might be awkward. She might reject me, but so what? And then just like what I would tell my friend, I'll eat the cringe and move on. So I turned around and I walked up to her table. The second that I opened my mouth, I was like, damn, why is my voice shaking? Because I was saying like, hey, I just thought you seem nice and I wanted to say hi. Like, it was not smooth at all. My heart was racing and my timing was trash. But to my surprise, she actually smiled and she closed the book and said hi. And 10 minutes later, we were still talking about books, travel, and random stuff. And turns out that she was actually a bit socially anxious as well. And later, she told me that she actually appreciated me walking up. So what happened later? Well, it didn't actually turn into a big romance. We never really met again. But that's not the point. The point is, once you survive the moment like that, everything else just looks less scary. It's basically trained me to grow a thicker skin. So now, anytime when I'm in an awkward situation, I'm like, meh, I've done worse than that. And the third thing I learned, awkwardness drops people's guard faster than anything else. Like last summer, I went to this local festival. I just came up with the idea last minute, so I was kind of just wandering around myself. And a few blocks in, I spotted this guy across the street, and he looked exactly like one of my old classmates from college. So naturally, I just waved like, big wave, full commitment. Hey, it's been a while. And nothing happened. So I went even bigger. I was yelling his name like I was flagging down a taxi in the rain. And then I realized that it wasn't him. It was just a random dude holding a corn dog. At that point, I could have just melted to the crowd and disappeared forever. But my brain went like, dude, you already made a fool of yourself. Might as well just double down. So I walk up and say hi. I was like, hey, my bad. I thought you were someone that I knew. But anyways, how's the corn dog? And he laughed. Turns out that he was actually by himself as well. So we ended up walking around together, checking stalls, making comments about the overpriced food. And by the end of the night, we became friends. And now we still hang out sometimes. And that's the thing about awkwardness. It rips off the mask. Because you can't pretend to be cool when you've just waved at someone that you don't know for 10 seconds straight. And funny enough, that's exactly why it works. People connect with those real and imperfect moments. And I used to think confidence meant never feeling awkward. But now I believe that the real confidence is that you show up anyways, with sweaty palms, shaky voice, and all. Every time you push through one of those moments, the next one just feels a little easier. So the next time your face gets warm and your heart's racing, don't bail. Just stick to it and own it. Eat the cringe, because that could be the start of your best story yet. So what do you think? Share your awkward story in the comments and I'd love to read it. And if this made you a little braver, consider giving this video a thumbs up. My name's Wentao, and I'll see you guys in the next one.